Okay, so I'm going to make a screencast about I Have a Dream, and that is a speech written by Martin Luther King in 1963. So I have made a thesis statement concerning this speech, and it is that this speech is an example of how the use of historical references enables for the establishment of intrinsic ethos. Okay, so what I mean by this thesis statement is that Martin Luther King makes use of multiple historical references. For instance, he makes an intertextual reference to the Declaration of Independence when he says that this note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this can be seen on page, I think I wrote it down. Sorry. Yeah. And what he means, like what he gains by using this intertextual reference to the Declaration of Independence from 1776 is that he is able to emphasize like America as a united nation in opposition to how America is like at his time, because America is at his time is like divided between the Negroes or the black community and then the white community on the other hand. And that is like additionally emphasized when he uses rhetorical devices such as anaphora and triad. This can be seen on page 3 in a second paragraph when he says, "We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence." So in this case, we serves as an anaphora because it's like he uses it in the beginning of the sentences, and he also uses the anaphora "lit freedom" on page 6. When he says, here we can see it's also an anaphora, but it's also a triad because he repeats this beginning of the sentence 3 times. He says, "Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia, let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee, and let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. ... So by using these rhetorical devices, he's able to additionally emphasize the historical references he has made, and he's able to connect and unite the American nation. He also makes use of simile, which is like a comparison, and that can be seen on page 3 when he says, on page 4 when he says, so again, this is an example of a comparison or a simile when he says, no, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. This is a simile because he makes use of the particle of comparison like, and that is what like creates the simile. And we, in this case, like the personal pronoun, means the black community, which Martin Luther King is like a part of because he is like a black man himself. So now I have given some. I will also give some examples of when he uses metaphors, and this can be seen that on page. I should have on page 5. So this is a metaphor when he says, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low. And so in this metaphor, the valley is the tenor, and it's like an implicit tenor because it refers to the black community. And the mountain is also like implicit, and it refers to the white people, and that is like the vehicle in the metaphor. And then the common ground in this metaphor is kind of like the equalization of both, so they will like resemble each other, because right now America is not united because there's these differences between the white and black community. So again, the common ground is like implicit in this metaphor. Yes. And he also makes use of another metaphor on page 3, where he says, again and again, we must rise to the majestic height of meeting physical force with soul force. This is also a metaphor because, in this case, the tenor is like, again, it's implicit. It's like the American people, and the vehicle is like the soul force. And then the common ground between these two concepts is the majestic heights. So now I have mentioned some of the rhetorical devices he uses, but I haven't really commented on why he makes use of all these rhetorical devices. And he does that because he wants to like unite the American people, and he wants to emphasize that there are so many resemblances between the white and black community. Like the American people is united, and by mentioning that, he's able to support his argumentation by referring back to Abraham Lincoln's speech, because at that time the nation was divided because it was during like the Civil War in 1863. And he's like, well, we got through this, so we can also get through that. Like our community will kind of like get us through this, the American spirit. And he also mentions that he believes in the American dream. He's not against the American dream because he believes that freedom is like the ultimate right of the American people, and it is like an unalienable right. And so it kind of gives like this ways of argumentation in like a 3-manner way, because we had the Declaration of Independence, where the American nation like was divided. No, not was divided, but they were like united for the first time ever. And then we had the Civil War in 1863, when the American nation was divided. And now in 1963, we had this division, like mental division between the white and black people. So he wants to make, like, he uses these historical references to say that, okay, we've been divided before, we've been dissolved before as a nation, but it's possible to reunite the American nation by believing in the American dream. That was all I had to say. Thank you for listening.